Story continued from Thaddeus and Tarquinus playlist. Oubliette, Shrodingers Inquisitor. I look Barbon straight in the eye as he pulls the trigger. If I could see through his ugly helmet, I am sure I could see the sides of his mouth rise in just the hint of a smile. He puts 3 bolts into the air, one aimed at each of our heads. The runes dance in my mind. I construct them at the speed of thought, but still, only just in time to protect myself, Josephus, and Ilhavnarian. The bolts fall harmlessly to the ground before us, spent, bouncing off the protections I wove. The groaning door of lumpen dead metal screeches shut, blocking us from the view of the marine. The Jucero at the front flips dials and pulls on a control stick of some form, and we are away. Out of the ship and heading straight for the Huntsman of the Soul. That vessel's captain I have already converted to our way of thinking. I may have stretched some statements, obfuscated details a tiny tad. Yet, I have never lied. I can feel the engines whine, the smell of dusky oil and incense, mixed with the sweat pouring from all. It was rather bracing. There stands Ilhavnarian, the solitaire, his mask hiding the obvious agony he is experiencing. I walk to him and carve runes into the air with the singing spear. I send them at him and watch as the icons of light and power sink into his body and begin to reknit his form. I can do nothing for his rank and reeking soul. Light bursts from his rib cage. It is bright, dazzling, hence meaning the damage was catastrophic for such a display to occur. His ribs were utterly caved in. I am amazed he could get back to the shuttle, let alone in the style and speed that he did. Could he breathe at all? I look to him. I thank you for not slaying Barbon. He sucks in air, grimacing, and whispers back to me. I'm not certain I could. Now that is one talented Monkey. So I retort. I whisper to him also. But you struck him across the head multiple times. I thought it was with the flat of the blade. He shakes his head dolefully. Incorrect. I attempted to blind him. They have bionic eyes. It would not have been permanent, but he has some form of field around him. It protected him as he knew it would, thus allowing him to land that kick. Another assault from him? It could have been final. I would not have been able to pull my blows at all, and even then, I am still not certain. A very talented Monkey indeed. One of a kind, I sincerely hope. He winces at the last. The knitting and healing are fast, but they are not painless. Bones have nerves around or inside them, but it will be short. I look to the striking human next to Ursula. He has placed her onto a table, safe and sound, ever looking after the citizenry. This odd human. He is a veritable collage of complexities and contradictions, yet his exterior is always so calm. A judge. He is a rarity amongst their kind, I am told. He is loyal, that is certain. He pans around and takes it all in, and I can feel the contempt within him. He and Ursula are the only Monkey here. A Jucero and 2 Eldar are his accomplices, his co-conspirators, and he, a shining beacon of the law. I wonder how he is squaring this circle in his mind. I address him carefully, by name, not rank. Let us not initiate an automatic response, but a more measured answer. I play to the protector. How is Ursula? She is not harmed, is she? No. She has a mild headache, some stiffness. She should wake soon. We should be ready. I have seen her in action. I am hoping that we can prevail on her as we did on you, to show that there is a chance to save the Inquisitor, to help Tarquinus. He nods. His frown had not altered greatly, but to me, to an elder, I can see the millimeter alterations that signify a change from gruff to considerate. I nip in now, test the waters. I hope you still see the strength of our argument. What is at stake? He nods curtly to himself in the way that physically screams. Right then. He turns and looks me dead in the eye. You can cut the tiptoeing around. If I didn't agree with you, I would not be here. You will not hear me mewling about my decisions. I make a tiny bowing motion with my head to acknowledge him, without challenging nor condescending him. I could evaporate his eyes, crush his brain, or explode his heart. But even so, he is a warrior. He is always a danger, and he is best kept that way. Confident, powerful, driven. We shall dock with the Huntsman of the Soul in mere moments. Would you take care of Ursula for me until we can wake her? He merely closes his eyes and nods, then glares at me again. But then, I have never seen him look around, glance gape, or merely observe. Josephus glares at everything and everyone, his piercing eyes missing nothing, causing many to look away, I would imagine. Odd. I could match and smash him in this regard too. But why would I do that? Intact. The man must remain intact to be able to serve Tarquinus. Oh, if I had been a mere few 100 years old, I would have done it anyway. That I even think of these nuances now is a sign of my new feeling, my new rigor, vigor, newfound youth. I must admit, I want to go down in a blaze of glory. I want to fight, to wage war. But now is the time to be the Farseer, a leader of people. I must show them the way, guide them with my light. I walk to the cabin and sit next to Louis. He is carefully piloting us to the other ship, ready for our escape. I know you are busy, Louis, but let us be honest, this is hardly a challenge for you. Louis shrugs his huge orange shoulders and gives me half of his attention. So, you have not really given me much information. How does this item, this effect of yours, work? Louis smiles, and out of a small segment in his power armor comes a little consumable, some form of tree seed or nut. He then picks it up between his thumb and forefinger and very obviously shows it to me. I nod. Louis then has it moving in a circle in short increments, stopping then jerking around to the next spot. A chronometer, I presume. I nod again. He then places the nut on the panel. I look at it. I jump then, as Louis slams his fist down and crushes it utterly, small shards falling from his fist as he slowly raises it up again and points at the smashed fragments. Ah, I am presuming you are saying that it breaks time utterly. He shrugs and rolls his head, so he's looking at me from below and smiles his mad, wide, lip-curled smile. If it breaks time, then what is our rush, Louis? He stops smiling and then just makes me watch him move forward and simply blow hard on the shards of the nut, and they disappear in the winds. Ah, I see. At least I think I do. Let us make all haste, then. Louis rolls his eyes, blows a derisive raspberry, and puts his hands back on the controls. He pushes it forward to accelerate a little more. I shake my head softly as I stand. I am not jealous of Thaddeus. He has to put up with all this, all of the time. His patience is greater than I had ever guessed. Back in the main hold, the solitaire is now walking and bouncing, testing his capabilities. Or is he unwinding? Who can tell? I delicately enter the mind of Ursula, ensuring she will remain in slumber until I wake her. The judge is not mistaken. She is only a monkey, but she is still able to touch the void, still able to be lethal should she so choose. We come into land on the Huntsman of the Soul, another Imperial ship. It is similar to all the rest. Huge hunks of resources torn from the heart of a planet, the very veins of living, breathing worlds dug up and used to create tunes that carry these terrified apes through the darkness of space. We sing our ships into existence, using will, vision, power, and beauty. They, the Imperials, the Monkey, grub like squats and smelt and burn and hammer and freeze. These ships of theirs, these things, are as barbaric as their owners. Yet, even in all of this, they still have some vestigial grace, potential. But now is not the time for this. I center again. The shuttle pushes through the environmental shielding of the Huntsman of the Soul and touches down. The captain meets us, of course, and we get going. He wants to ask about Ursula, but he does not force the issue. And within a minute of landing, I feel reality lurch as they initiate their warp drives, tearing a hole into the immaterium, and the ship plows directly into the warp. My vox speed blares as Carl Antrad makes contact. Thaddeus, was that shuttle yours? We detected small arms fire on your ship. Your last message was vague. No, it is not. Can you tractor it? Not at this range. We shall close. Can you beat it to the Huntsman of the Soul? Negative, but we can follow her. Have no fear. We will track her down. I take in a deep breath and try to center. Carl, things may be more complicated than you know. I very much doubt that, Thaddeus. Antrad, this is not a time for fire and wrath. You always say that. It's why we lost so many at Beringer. That is hardly the truth of the matter, and you know it. One question only. Did you authorize the Huntsman of the Soul and her crew to go walkies? You know I did not. Then there is nothing more to say. Carl, no, not this time, Thaddeus. He cuts off communications, and his mighty prospector ship turns and slips into the warp. I try not to scowl at Barbon. I fail. He, too, is looking at where the Leagues of Votan ship disappeared into the warp, making sure not to catch my eye. I sigh. Well, that went well. Could today get any better, one wonders? He pipes up now. Aren't we going after Antrad, then? I turn to him fully and glare up into his newly angelic face, totally open and without guile. The one he puts on when he knows he's strewn excrement all over my duvet. Did we forget that the Farseer took out the entire bridge? Perhaps not, eh? We shall just have to hope that the Farseer can lose him, won't we? Yes, I suppose so. Do you know what they are doing then? No. Perhaps if some great over-muscled moron had let them talk to me, I might have known what the blazes is going on. Barbon sighed. Perhaps they will in future. Yes, indeed they will. Now, you will help all of the serfs and servitors who need assistance down to the apothecary. I will check on the bridge. Punishment dished out, I turn around and stride out on my way to said hub of control. I walk through the open doors to the bridge and witness what the Farseer has done to my men. When this began, I thought it would be a sight I would not want to witness. Burnt-out smoking eyes, bloodless bodies. Yet, this is something I will find hard to forget, but in a totally different way. Because the bridge crew are all in a strange line, shuffling around with their hands on the shoulder of the one in front, with glazed eyes and fixed grins. They mooch around the bridge, occasionally all kicking out one leg then the other as they snake around the chairs and consoles. I look up the stairs to the captain. He is similarly glazed of eyes, and in front of him is the navigator. Both are extending their hands and patting one against the other, then withdrawing them, then doing it all again. There is some clapping between the hand patting. Tan Irenaid has them in a loop playing some girlish game of patty cake. Other crew meet me in the doorway and stand agape. One chimes in. Is there anything we can do, Master Inquisitor? Nope. If I am right, this should wear off in a few hours. They'll need rest, food and water when they come out of this. You two, stay here, and make sure they do not all dance into a wall or another obstacle. If something trips them, I doubt they would stop. And obviously, call me when they come out of it. And then, internally, I shake my fist at the Farseer, because I have to dart out of there. I close the doors to the bridge, and then it starts. It must be the strain, or the stress, but a giggle erupts, then shifts to a hearty chortle that becomes a belly laugh, with the customary tears, as I laugh so hard I can barely breathe. It could be the starched uniforms and servitors doing the conga. I sincerely hope that Tan Irenaid is right about his instincts. That somehow, he will bring back the boy. Because otherwise, by the Holy Throne, I will personally take his head if he does not. The Carl is insane, the diminutive horror. Fire flashes before me, light and darkness flicker like a dancer's visuals. Somehow, when we came back from the warp, they were there waiting for us. In less than a score of seconds, they have already locked onto us and opened fire. That damn Leagues of Votan ship. I look to the captain. How goes it, Captain? Captain Decimus shoots back. Our void shields hold, but we cannot endure this for long. To punctuate his assertions, the ship rocks again as mines explode near us, and are then followed by swift lance batteries that fire weapons not seen on the ships of the Imperial Navy since even I was a boy. Do we return fire? We cannot. Even if the weapons of this vessel hit, would they even dent their armor? That is a prospect to ship. Perhaps not, but it might give them pause, and raise the morale of the men, of course. I ignore him. Can we outrun them? Speed is not the issue. They know where we are going. If we jump again, back on our course, they will be there. Somehow, they are faster than us in the warp. Can we jump away from this course? go another way. We have no astronomicon, no guide point, and we followed the League's vessel. If we deviate from the log's jump coordinates, we may well get lost permanently. Perhaps I can help with that. Indeed, perhaps. But that will take the only thing we do not have. Time. Less than you would imagine, I say. I stretch out my soul. I open myself to the universe and look for tethers. The weakened borders of reality that only barely cover the existence of a portal. And I find one. I point in a direction. Captain, take us in this heading. He does not argue. I have made sure he is pliable to my demands. I will release him later, of course. But I do not have time to explain, and no wish to be sunk by the squat ship. Another round of explosions go off and rock our own. I see the flicker of one of the void shields collapsing. The Votan now have the range, and are pummeling us relentlessly. I gesture, and the solitaire, Ilhavnarian, the silver blade, stalks from the shadows. He has been watching the Monkey as I requested. He then takes up a position next to what I expect is the helmsman. Captain, where we go, there will be a need for swift response, perfect reflexes. I request that my ally assist in this. The captain nods and barks at the man to step back. The man sneers as he does so, watching as the solitaire takes his place. Ilhavnarian is going to have to be at his best, because this present stunt is not going to leave me with much in the way of energy. The huntsman of the soul finally gets to its position, taking fire and lurching, shifting to show different void shield arcs to the oncoming Votan warship as they tear down one after another of our void shields. And before us I can feel the hole, the entrance. The warp engines fire up, but this time I open the gateway. I sing the words. I extend my power, all of it, and through will alone, I change the nature of the Monkey engines, their effect. Instead of tearing a gap in the warp, a blue circle appears before us, and we slip into the webway. We leave the kin in the void. There are only two things that can follow us now, others of my kind, or those with a dolem gate. The League ship possesses neither, so we escape. The kaleidoscopic blues and whites that flash around us are hypnotic, but the dancer sails us through it all. Do you know the way? I am a harlequin. This is Segura's realm. Good, pilot us there. After that, I must rest. You have served my master well this day. Go, Farseer. I shall alert thee when we are nearing our destination. I glide out of the room, but it takes effort to do so. My arms, my legs, they feel leaden. They are stiff. I get to a secure area. I am alone. I look, but I know what I will see. It is as I suspected. The effort was too much. I must rest. But first, I will awaken Ursula. I need her. I need to know I have her. Compliance. I walk down to where she is being held, her with Josephus. She stirs, and I use the old ways. I have no power to force her, so I use the greatest weapon of all, seduction. Ursula, can you hear me? You want to stay calm. You are safe. You are protected. You are loved. And you are needed. She slowly opens her eyes. I have about 3 seconds to gain her attention before the wailing clawed monster within all humans comes out at me. Ursula, we are so sorry about how this was done, but we believe we can save Tarquinus. He may not be dead, and he needs you. She hesitates. She listens. Good. I have engaged her higher consciousness while tugging on her maternal instincts. So much like Josephus, and yet so different. Humans are more complicated than most Eldari want to believe. It is one of the reasons I chose her, though. The possibility she might be reasoned with. Now, to forge common cause, similarity. We were all so shocked, because we all love him so. That silly young man, Tarquinus. But Louis worked it out. He's still alive. She stares at me flatly. How? She blurts. You may have to grant me your patience. I have been trying to understand Louis. She nods, and her shoulders lose some tightness. I'm getting there, because I'm being honest, and she can feel it. Our kind always can. You see, Rubute, Tarquinus's Gyrinx, the cat, has a connection with him. If he were dead, the Gyrinx would not linger. Louis noticed this, and then tried to explain what else he worked out. Thaddeus has a weapon of astonishing power, a ring that Louis made for him. It has some effect on time, says Ursula, finishing my sentence. Her eyes widen, but she's not there yet. Tarquinus was also given a ring by Louis, an identical ring, and we think he used it on himself. I give it a few seconds. Her eyes dart around as she slowly grasps the reality of this. I nod. Yes. How do we find him? Lost in space and time. Her eyes widen. Her hand comes up to her mouth, covering her gasp. She shoots a look of pure horror at me. Because the others cannot truly understand. Not the solitaire, not the judge, not perhaps even Thaddeus. They are not psychers. They do not know the whispers, the mental caress of dark things. And in this instant, Ursula grasps some of the truth. But I hope not all of it. Because even if we find him, even if we rescue him, I may still have to put him down. For he is in a time that is not a time, a place that is not a place. Tarquinus may well be in the depths. He may not be the man we knew not only 2 days ago. I turn. I speak to her again. We need your help. He, Tarquinus, needs your help. Why not ask me? She spits. And have you reject us out of spite? Grief does odd things to all sentience with a soul. We could not take the risk. If you do not trust me, why should I trust you? She says. But there is less ire. You do not need to trust me, Ursula. Trust in yourself. Trust in him. In Tarquinus. Trust that he can be saved. That is all you need do. Why do you need me? She implores. Because my abilities are not as defined as yours in one aspect only. I can play with reality. I can crush a heart in its chest, rewrite memories, slaughter with a word and thought. But I could never lift or move anything of true weight. I may need your strength, but more importantly, I need your connection to him. She looks away, down to her lap, as she states coldly, he does not love me. I then do what is necessary, but it still feels cruel. I tell her an unpalatable truth that would let her know that I am not flattering and false. Sometimes the truth hurts, but it has a power all respect. It is only ever wielded by the virtuous. Not that all who are virtuous are aligned with the light, but I believe it is only we Eldar that see this nuance. So, she will see me as I actually am, her ally. No, he does not. But I only need your connection to him. I lean in and whisper, "Is it strong enough for me to use?" She does not look up. Tears drip from her nose onto her legs. Her shoulders shudder. She merely nods. She will need to be alone for a moment after this, so I stand. But I say what needs to be said, especially if we do get him back. Do not blame him, Ursula. I know my pupil well. The seed was there. He would, if he were not an Inquisitor. He was born to be the Thaddeus. He loves his calling. Like a true Inquisitor, he loves the war. But unlike most of them, Thaddeus has taught him not to love its methods, costs, or battles, but its hoped result. So naive from my perspective, but only he understands. Of all of the apprentices, only Tarquinus. Yet what better reason than this, Ursula? The healing of the universe. The saving of not only his species, but all. If we could just clear away the dark guards, the whole of existence could heal. A worthy goal. Perhaps one day, when he has destroyed the dark guards, he will come for you. Or Santara, she says, for once letting down her guard and barely containing the venom. No. An infatuation due to similar history and geography. In the end, Ursula, it would always have been you. Always. I leave, for that was the coolest thing of all. The truth, but I need her connection to Tarquinus to be as strong as possible. His life is worth more than a temporarily broken heart. Congratulations are in order. I can now proclaim myself the most incredible, most righteous, most astonishing of all of the utterly incompetent turds on the tip. Thinking myself oh so clever, I truly screwed myself deeply and irrevocably, as only I could possibly have managed. I'd give myself a slowly sarcastic round of applause. If I could move my arms, I'd pull a Thaddeus and pinch the top of my nose and sigh deeply. If I could move my fingers, my eyes, or even feel my nose, I'd dance the "I'm stupid" jig that my friends and I discovered one summer and did non-stop until threatened with beatings by both parents and teachers alike. If I could but move one single cell in my body. Do you know how deeply disconcerting it is to miss something you never ever think about, yet always experience? The things we take for granted, like air inflating our lungs, or even the slow, constant companion we all know from before our birth until the very end of our lives. It's likely I'm one of the few humans who has ever experienced this, if not the only. Alive, but the drum in my chest does not beat. I cannot feel my heart pump, because it does not. Am I alive at all? What a stunningly brilliant chap I am, for I have indeed created the perfect Oubliette. A place without windows, doors, locks, or keys. A prison without entrance nor exit. And this one is a doozy. For in my infinite wisdom, my near-inhuman levels of cunning, I have managed to make the first inmate me. And how did all this kick off, one might ask? Well, that's simple. An idiot, a surprise, then an explosion. Fire from another age rolled over everything, incinerating it on a level I could scarcely believe. And, as trained, I acted. To save my body, I whipped out the one thing I should never have owned. This was always too much power. Yes, I hold a Sinistrum-grade weapon, a blade of the Elder Times. Some even say it was forged by the Emperor's own hand. Yet, the seeming trinket gifted to me by the orange-walking mop called Louis is something I maintain I should never have had. Because of this. I had seen it in operation only once before, when my master, Thaddeus, had saved me from being executed by a noise marine. One more ounce of pressure, just one, and he could have sliced my head clean off. So, Thaddeus used one of his only charges, one from the ring given to him by Louis, the twin of the one I received. And it shot out a beam that, well, it stopped time. In a segment, it had a specific range and area of effect, but it stopped time. And in my cleverness, well, I used it on myself. Why would I not? For this would take me outside of time. Hence, I would not be incinerated by a wave of fire coming at me. Genius move, eh? I thought so at the time. Sometimes things look clever, but they end up being truly the most mind-blastingly dumbest things you have ever witnessed. I did indeed save myself from the Ingir, as the Farseer called it, a Catan, if I am not mistaken in my translation into Gothic. And here I am, still thinking, if nothing else. But only now do I realize what I have actually done. The ring's effect. This halting of the flow of time. It drew much energy from the ring. So much that it could only be done thrice, and barely only for a minute or two. But when the power source itself is frozen in time, one would imagine that the effect would fade almost immediately. I never said it was a good plan. I just said it was my only plan. I had thought I would then just be gone, long enough for the wave of fire to pass me. The ring conks out of juice, I reappear, and leg it for the shuttle with anyone left. Or, of course, I snuff it, as I blink out and then reappear as the power is instantly cut. Again, I never claimed it was a good plan, but I had less than a second to get one out of the door, so this was it. Alas, it turns out that I do not understand either human or Jacaro technology. Why would I? And when the ring was stuck in the time flow, it created some form of loop. For now I am trapped in an oubliette of my own making. I cannot move to turn off the ring. I cannot deplete the ring. I cannot gesture, nor talk, nor signal any that I am stuck. I am lost in space, lost in time. I am nowhere and no when. And this is the best bit. Nobody will ever know. Nobody will work it out, for there is no evidence. The wave of fire that obliterated the tech priest Volontar Why would any question if the same had happened to little old me? And light dawns, and realization slaps me across the face like a 12-foot fish. Nobody is coming for me. Nobody. I have not lived long enough. I have no long catalogue of life achievements, moments, lovers and enemies, nor victories and defeats I can play through. I am too young for this. My mind will shatter under the vacuum of experiences when my whole soul is still a sponge. Now, there is nothing more to be taken in, nothing more to be experienced, and hardly anything to reminisce about. Being outside of time, I cannot be affected by light or heat or waves of any form. I cannot see, hear, or move. But I am still conscious. I am still thinking. How? Realization hits me again. I am not thinking at all, because that requires a brain to work. So this is not my brain. This is purely my soul alone. I am here, but not. For there is actually nothing holding my spirit within me, for I do not exist. I am now bodiless. I am pure spirit, and I am drifting. By all rights, with everything I know, I should be terrified. But you know what? I am a student of a sensei, and a farseer after that. I have been taught how to veil myself better than any. I control my aura. I walk as a gadfly, a nobody and nothing. My shine is so dim, none will attempt to consume me. I am as hard to see as a chameleon, as small as an ant. So I roam, my cord all but invisible. Yet I cannot see the river of souls. I cannot see the Astronomicon. I cannot see the planescapes and geography I thought I knew. Even the worlds of dreams, millions of bubbles of idle thoughts, imaginations, nightmares, and sleeping adventures. The worlds we enter when we close our eyes at night. I am in a place I've never been to before. I recognize absolutely nothing. So I trudge. On what? I do not know, until finally I look down and see sand beneath my feet. When I look up again, there are tall palms, and a horizon of golden waves. A river of great beauty gently flows down before my eyes. I am now walking along its banks. The sun is hot, but the breeze is a cool balm, a silken kiss on my shoulders, my legs, my face. I shield my eyes and look out. I have a staff in my left hand. It is thin. It comes from a young tree, but it is strong. It rights me, seeming to lead me. I place it and lift it as my legs take me forward. But truly, I follow the slow beat of the staff. It relaxes me. It feels right in my hand. It is my strength, my stability, and my safety. I walk, and there by the river before me are 3 fishermen. Each has been lovingly baked by the sun to be as gloriously golden as the sands around them, but deeper, richer. They smile and wave to me. They cast their nets across the width of the river, then tie them off and beckon me again. I wave and stroll to where they sit, languishing in the sun. I join them. I sit cross-legged before them, my staff over my knees. And they take it in turns to speak. So, traveler, Few roam to this our home from home. How come you to this place? I respond, I followed my staff. It led me here, wherever here is. The second one spoke. So, traveller, you know not where you are. Tell us where you have come from, and we shall tell you where you have reached. Why do I answer thus? The words roll off my tongue. I thought of the Imperium, the Astronomicon, for some reason, then our quest, and what we all endure in the Imperium. Yet from my mouth rolls, I come from the land of the shining star. I come from the land of fire and war. They look at me and nod as though answered in full. They smile still. You are in our terrain, the kingdom of we, the four kings. My eyebrows furrow, yet only 3 do I see before me. The last one does not open his eyes, as his face is turned fully to the sun. He laughs and states, Our absent brother king is first and oldest. He said he was not interested in the catch to be gained by the river this day. I nod, purely to show I have heard and understood. The first speaks again. He is shorter but stouter than his brothers, but his smile is wide, welcoming and genuine. So, traveller, you have journeyed far. If you wish food and water, I have both in abundance. But this fine repast will give you succour forevermore. It will make you bountiful and fecund. All I ask is that you leave me that staff, for you will not need it any more, and I would have it lead me to new places, as it did for you. The second one again speaks. His long arms stretch out before him, ganglia but taller. His hair is long and swept over his head like a cowl. So, traveller, I too see you have long sought, but not for ease and abundance, but for that which truly satiates. The enrichment of the ways, the secrets to this and all pathways, the knowing of things that may burn or blind, yet make all the universe richer in their owning. If you would but give me your staff, I would use it to lead you through all paths and all ways, until you knew everything you wished to know. And I looked to the third brother, not large, not small, but sculpted like an Adonis. He who looked to the sun. He did not change his expression, nor open his eyes. He shook his head and stated with grace, I will not beg or banter for the traveller's staff. He is not ready. But one day he will hand it to me as a gift, but not today. They all chuckled with friendly mirth, and then the first and second looked back to me. What say you, traveller? I nodded to each in turn and thanked them for their words. But I then asked them, Kings 3 of 4, rulers of these lands, I thank you for your kind offers, but perhaps I find them early, for none of you have even asked me my name. And they all smiled wider, as the first one leans forward and states, But we know your name. And Tarquinus, deep down, you know ours. I look at them again. The oldest, he did not want to come. The others, fat, tall, perfect. Holy throne. I slowly stand. I clutch my staff, not just for support. I am gripping it tight. I try to smile and then bow. I am sorry, your highnesses, But it is not my staff to give. It was lent to me by the light, and in his name I carry it, and by it am I led. Impossibly, their smiles broaden, and they chortle at me. The first beams as he jovially declares, "We shall see you in the morrow then, traveller, and each tomorrow, until you give one of us your staff. We all know you. The second king danced with you once. We know your staff is of worth. But each day your staff will get a tiny bit thinner, until one day nobody will want it anymore. Not even you." The other then pipes in, "We all know you will give us your staff. We have always known this. But now you do too. If it takes 1 billion tomorrows, we will see you every tomorrow until it is true." I back away, my palms sweat, clenched around my staff as they are. Then, relief, like I have never felt it before in all of my days. For I feel a tug from within, a distant voice I recognize all too well calls to me from afar. I smile back at the kings wolfishly and spit. And yet, despite all odds, your highnesses, things change. Even now, I feel the call of my allies. Even now, I am to leave this domain. There will be no 1,000,000 tomorrows. There will be no giving of my staff. You have failed. This makes them gape, then laugh raucously as they fall around in the sand, crying and wheezing and pointing at me in derision. And the second brother collects himself enough to speak again. "No, mortal, your fate has not changed, for we have always known that you would leave this place. Be it in this realm or any other, there are always enough tomorrows. Enough for you to realize the inevitable. Go then, traveller, and we shall see you every tomorrow. And when you see our adopted son, please pass to him our felicitations and, of course, our love." I stare back at him quizzically, but warily. How would I know him, even if I met him? So I do not pass this most important message to the wrong person. And he looks me deep in the eye as he smiles more grimly and retorts, "You already know of him, as you seek him out. You already know of him, as he has worn you like a glove. To many, he was called a master. To many more, he is named Death. To you, he is known as Midrot. But we have always called him by his oldest name, Loki." To be continued.